Good morning, my name is Khalid. Today, inshallah, we're going to talk about Python. Alright, objectives of this lesson is to understand what input and output is, and to understand what sequencing and variables, to be able to make programs that takes input, procedure, and output, okay, and stuff like that, so on. So all these objectives is about to make you a programmer. Alright, you're going to build your first program in this lecture or this session, inshallah. So let's start. What's computer science? That's in an introductory questions. What's computer science? Well, before we go into the details and go deep down to answer this question, we need to ask ourselves another question, which is, what's science? Well, science like biology, chemistry, physics, all these sciences is about studying a system. All right, one of the each science must at least study one system or another. All right, so we can say that science is a study of systems. So what about computer science? What does it study? Well, it study system as well. What system do we call? For example, in biology, we call systems like digestion system and nervous system. In electricity, in physics, we study electrical systems. In mechanics, we study mechanical systems. So what about this computer science? What do we study in it? Well, we study information system, or simply computer system. What's information system? Information system is programs. All right. So what does a system mean in general? What does a system mean? You can think with me. 1, 2, 3. Well, a system can be divided into three things: input, process, and output. What's input? Input is the environment, is what's going to be changed. How it's going to be changed? By a process. So we can say that a system is a process that happens constantly and continuously. But how is that? Well, I can say that any process that happens constantly and continuously needs an input and it produces an output. We're going to understand that deeper and deeper as we go on. So we can say that any system can be decomposed into input, process, output. So now we can understand or talk or discuss Python. What's Python? Python is a high-level programming language, and it's used to make websites and games. What are games and websites again? Websites like Facebook, TikTok, games we all know, Minecraft. Those are systems. So we can say that Python is a language used to give the computer orders, so the computer can work in a systematic way. Alright? So Python is used to create programs. Well, what's a programming language? A programming language is a language that we use to tell someone something to do. For example, if I want you to give me the bottle, so I'm going to talk in English language, and I'm going to ask you to give me the bottle, and you can carry out this order. So same thing goes in Python with Python. Python is a high-level programming language. What's the meaning of high level? Now we understand what's programming language. It's a language used to give orders to the computer. What's the meaning of high level programming language? High level means that the computer easy to read, it's a language easy to read and write. And the computer can understand it? No, the computer can't understand the high level language. But the computer can understand only one language. What it is, I'm going to tell you. It's the machine language, zeros and ones. So now we can go on and continue, but let me emphasize on something before I forget, that any high-level programming language is translated into machine language or zeros and ones so the computer can understand it, and it's converted by something called interpreter or a compiler, all right, or a translator. This translator is a program, exists on the computer, and it converts the high-level language that we write into zeros and ones so the computer can understand. So now we understand what's Python. Let's proceed. Well, to start using Python, we're going to install IDE like Python or onecompiler.com, but we're gonna use onecompiler.com. That's an online environment, development environment, an integrated development environment. So we're going to understand how to write codes. What's IDE? It's like I said, something that converts your code into zeros and ones so the computer can understand. Okay? So we're gonna go to the onecompiler.com in Python. Before we proceed, I need to make sure that you understand something. Is a calculator considered a system? That's a question for you to check your understanding. So a calculator is definitely a system because it takes an input, which is the numbers 1 and 2, and make a process, which is the summation, for example, and it produces an output, which is 3. So 1 plus 1 is 1 plus 2 equal 3. That's right. A calculator is a system. So now we're going to discuss how to build our first program, how to make an output, how to produce something from the computer, to tell the computer something to do. Well, we can do that by using the word print hello world. If we use the word print, if we write it down, if we wrote it down on onecompiler.com or onecompiler.org, I don't remember, onecompiler.com/Python, well, it's going to output hello world. So if I want to print hello Khaled, I'm going to write print hello Khaled, not hello world. So anything I want to print or make the computer output on the screen is going to be wrote down inside print. Now, it's an evaluation task. I want you to make a program that displays by pi. How are you going to do that? I want you to think for a moment and write down the program. Well, the answer is simple. We're going to write print and brackets, and between the brackets we're going to write pi. So now I want you to see how are we going to make our first program. We're going to write one compiler Python. And we're going to go to that website. Yes, he writes down print hello world. Now we're going to write print py. Sorry, I have to write down these two things here. Now we're gonna write down py. Let's run it. Click on run, and converts the code into machine code so the computer can understand and achieve and carry out what I want him to do. So it's going to output py. Now we can see that output is py. So that's very good. That's very good, actually. We can continue now our lecture, how to make an input. To make an input, what's input again? Input is something that is going to be inserted to the computer, so it can be processed after that. So to make an input, we're gonna write same thing like print, but instead of print, we're going to write input and brackets and the things that we the message that we want the user to answer, the questions that we want the user to answer, and it's going to let them input or insert data to the computer to be processed. Like for example, in a calculator, we let the user enter or insert the numbers that he wants to add or multiply or divide or subtract, right? So we're gonna write input and the message that we want the user to answer, or that we want the user to interact with. So input, what is your age, is going to let the computer, is going to let the user enter or insert his age to the computer. Now I need you to be creative a little bit. I want you to make a program that outputs every input is going to insert it to it. So for example, if I inserted high, it's going to output high. If I insert to the computer pi, it's going to output pi. If I insert it to the computer hello world, it's going to output or print hello world. So how are we gonna do that? That's a task for you. Think for 5 minutes and answer the question. Well, the answer is easy. We're gonna write print, and we need to print something. What it is, it's the input that's going to be inserted to the computer. So we're gonna write print and input, okay? So let's see that on onecompiler.com. We're going to write the code print, but not py. We don't want to print py. We want to print the input, and we have to let the brackets be open. Okay, so we're going to print what the user is going to insert to the computer. Run. Well, I'm going to insert high. Run. Well, the output is high. If I want him to let me insert py, it's going to print py. So now we made a program that output or print anything that we insert. For example, we can write also my name is Khaled, and it's going to print out this message. Well, that's very good. Now we made a progress. Let's see and continue our session. Okay, I want you now to understand some concepts. Okay, these concepts is related to make a process. All right, so we now understand how to make an input and how to produce an output. But what is a process? A process is, for example, the summation of two numbers. How are we can add or make a summation for two numbers, for example? How are we going to do that? That's what we're gonna learn today and now, after 2 minutes, inshallah. So, sequence. What's sequence? Sequence is the first concept that I want you to understand. Sequence is simply tells me that anything that the computer do is going to do it step by step or in order. For example, if I wrote down print hi and then wrote down after that print pi, so what's the output in your opinion? In my opinion, or the fact, it's not my opinion, the fact is that the computer is going to print out hi and then after that pi. Let's see that. So if I wrote down print and wrote down hi and after that I wrote down print and I wrote down pi, run. So now we can see that anything that we enter to the computer is going to be achieved or carried out in order or step by step. So the first step is going to print hi, the second step is going to print pi. So we can see that now that it prints hi and pi in sequence. So that's the first concept, is that anything that we write down as programmers is going to be achieved or carried out in order or step by step. So second concept is related to data use. Okay, and we're gonna discuss these concepts after that, but I need you to focus with me a little bit and see the basic Python syntax and variables. What's syntax? Syntax is rules, alright? Syntax is what? Is rules. So, to make a variable, you need to write down age equal 12. What's the meaning of a variable? Why do we wrote age? Why does it equal 12? What does that mean? Okay, a variable is like a box that I can store information inside. For example, if I have something called Khaled, and that's a name. So I want the computer to know my name. How am I gonna do that? I'm gonna make a variable which is called name equal my name is Khaled. Okay, so now we can imagine and understand that a variable is like a box that can hold data. We're gonna understand that more and more as we go further. For example, x equal 4, x equal 2. That's a variable name which is x, and the value of it is 4. And after that, x equal 2, the variable name is x and its value is 2. So how to write a variable name, how to make a variable name? We're gonna write it first, okay? And choose the name that we want. Anything, any name. X, Y, my name, or size, score. All these are variables, okay? So we're gonna write score or the variable name, and we're gonna write equal, and we're gonna write its value. So now the computer holds the data or the value 4, and after that we defined the variable x equal 2, and now it holds the value of 2. What is the value stored in x after all? Well, there's a concept that I want you to understand related to variables. We said that a variable is like a box, right? It's like a box. This box only holds one data. So for example, age, the variable age equal 12. So if I wrote down age equal 12 and after that I wrote down age equal 10, then the final value of age will be 10. It's not going to be 12. Okay, that concept is called overwriting concept. That anything that I write inside a variable is going to overwrite the value that's already inside the variable. Okay, so now we're going to understand that as we go further and write the code. What is the value stored in x after all? Well, the value is 2, because x equal 4 at the beginning and x equal 2. Well, if you don't get what I just said, don't worry, you're gonna see one compiler. Well, I want the computer to print x, and I don't need that. What's x? X is simply a variable which is x equal 5. Okay, now we're going to see what the computer knows about x. Print x means to output the value of x. What's x? X is a variable, all right? It's a box that holds what data does it hold? Yes, it holds 5. So now we know that the computer holds the value of 5 and it outputs 5. Well, after that I need to make the computer output not x. I need I need him to print x also, but I want the computer to to define something else. X equal 2. Now, what is the value that's going to be outputted? That's going to be displayed or view, or it's going to be shown on the screen? Well, it's 5 or 2, or 5 plus 2, or 5 equal 2. No, it's going to be 2, right? So the value is going to be 2. Why? Because there's something called overwrite. First, I told the computer that x is a box and holds 5. And then I told the computer that x holds 2. And after that, I told the computer to print x. So the computer changed his mind and understood that x is 2 now. Okay, let's run. So as we can see that x is 2. Well, why is variables important? I'm going to tell you. Because, for example, in some library, in some scenarios, you can play a game, and this game holds something called score, right? So the score is going to be changed. How many ducks you killed in during the game? That's what we're going to count, or make the computer understand, or make the computer know, so that it can tell me after that what's the value of the score. So the score is a variable, all right, and it holds the number of ducks I killed inside the game. For example, that's an example, okay? So let's continue. That's a question or a task. I want you to create a variable called score and put the value 5 inside it. And after that, I want you to create two variables and name them whatever you like and put some values inside them. Those tasks are for you to answer and make by your hand. Well, now we've reached almost the end of this session, or the end of this video, and there is going to be another video, inshallah. Summary as a mind map. CS, that's what we discussed, okay? That's a mind map of what we discussed in this session. CS, computer science, is a system like a calculator, and a system also is a program. What's program? A program is a system, okay? So it contains input, output, and process. And the process, we understood the concept of sequencing, and we understood the concept of variables, okay? So that's very good. Let's end this video for now, and after that we're going to discuss all of these topics. And thank you. See you later, inshallah.